It's like I feel like I wasted my early 20s. I feel like I made a lot of mistakes, and looking back, I wish somebody told me these mistakes that I was making early on, because it really costed me a lot of pain, anguish, suffering, whatever, right? So when when I was 18, right, I had just left high school in 2017, so it's been roughly almost 10 years, right? And I remember it was crazy. Like, I remember being like a young man. I thought that, yeah, I'm free. I could do whatever I want. I could eat whatever I want and all of that, right? And I got disillusioned with the whole college thing. And so I eventually kind of left college. I dropped out, and I got a job. So I said, okay, well, I'm gonna work this job, and I'm just gonna grind my way up to like the very top. I'm gonna grind, and I'm gonna save, and I'm gonna do everything, and that I was planned out to do, because my original blueprint for my life, and how I saw it, was I wanted to retire by my 30s. Now I'm 27 now, and as you can see, I'm not really retired yet, right? But I had this idea, this goal, that I wanted to be retired by 30 years old. I wanted to be making money. I wanted to be doing my own thing. But along the way, I didn't have no lessons, no principles, no idea on how I wanted to achieve that goal, or where to go from that goal, right? So I'm gonna share with y'all three mistakes that I actually made along my journey to get to where I am today, right? So the first mistake that I made was I did not acquire wisdom. The most important thing that a 20-year-old, if you're 18, 19, or 20, the most important thing that you should basically do in your 20s, in your 18, 19, 20, all the way through, is acquire wisdom. Acquire wisdom, right? Because once you acquire wisdom, not only does it bring you happiness and joy, but it acts as a shield. It acts as a shield, and it basically forces you to do the right thing, right? For example, if you're wise with your money, which will lead into my next point, but if you're wise with your money, you won't have to worry about wanting things that you don't need, like jewelry and expensive clothing items that aren't really worth much in the long run, or anything material. It's not going to really interest you, right? If you're wise with your money, then you know that you're going to only want things that go up in value and not down in value, right? I didn't really know that. I wasn't wise with my money. I literally bought any and everything that I could, because I was one of those people where, it was like, okay, well, you're 18 now, you worked hard, you deserve this. I did not deserve anything like that. I should have worked my butt off. I should have worked and really grinded, but I did not. I worked and I spent. I worked and I spent. I worked and I spent. And which leads me into my next point, which is basically save all the money that you can in your 20s, in your early teens, but in your 20s, right? Because I wasted the opportunity to save a lot of money, because before I lived on my own, I used to live with my parents, and they basically gave me the option to save my money, because I didn't have to pay any bills, or any major bills, like, so, which gave me the chance to save my money. I did not do that. I would financially be in a different place if I learned to save my money, and I learned to get things that would exponentially grow my money. I did not really do that. I like I said before, I spent money. I spent, and I ate my money. Like, I was ordering DoorDash, right? Because the DoorDash was a new thing. So I was ordering DoorDash. I was buying video games that I never even opened up the packaging. Like, I never played. And it was crazy. I was just buying things to buy things because I finally had money. Like growing up as a kid, you know, I really didn't have no money to myself, and any money that I did have, I spent on dumb stuff. So now that I was working a job and I was able to get, like, you know what I'm saying? And I was able to get things, and every day turned into, well, every Friday turned into Christmas. I mean, hey, like, what would you do? I literally spent all my money on games, buying like clothes that I didn't even wear, buying shoes that I didn't even wear. I was just buying just dumb stuff, and I never saved a dollar. So when it was time to move out of my parents' house, I struggled for like years. Just struggled. And it was just like, dang, bro, if I'd have saved like a dollar from then, I would have probably been cool right now. But that was my failure. Like I failed at that, and I know that now. So now that I'm 27, now I can get on the right path. But I wish I wouldn't have wasted a good chunk of my 20s not saving money, right? Um, the third thing is when you do have a vision, right? When you do have a vision, matter of fact, really when you are 20, when you're are this is the time when you are supposed to figure out what you want to do for the rest of your life. That does sound like a daunting task, but ultimately you will feel so much better if you literally, and I mean literally, if you literally figure out what you want to do, right? Because when I was 18, getting out of high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I drifted, and I already kind of mentioned this before in other videos, but I drifted. And that drift led me to wanting to become a music producer, which was cool. But I wasted years and time kind of figuring out what I really wanted to do. So what I can tell you and honestly say is you have to figure out what you really want to do when you're like 18, 19, or 20. That's like the prime years to figure out what you want to do, right? And it's okay to keep searching and searching and searching, but you have to really be committed to the search, because the sooner that you find your purpose in life, the sooner that you find what you are meant to do on this planet, is the fastest thing is well it's the faster that you're going to find happiness, money, success, everything that you ever wanted. It comes from that one thing. And here's like a cheat code that you probably heard multiple times from everybody else, but the cheat code is write it in your journal. Write it in your journal, right? Write in your journal. And when you do finally have that goal or what you want to do, make people think that you are crazy. Like chase that dream relentlessly. You've already heard me say this probably multiple times, and if you didn't, there's other videos. But more importantly, you've probably already heard other people say that on their channels. But you have to make people believe that you're crazy. You really do. Like you have to chase that goal as if it will vanish tomorrow, right? That's like the biggest thing that I could tell you. And that's the biggest thing that I wish I relentlessly chased music production the same way how I chase YouTube videos now. I wish I had the drive then. I'll probably be in a way better place. But see, my issue was I thought that basically I was supposed to just be good at making beats on day one. But no, everybody started from somewhere. And I just thought that, okay, well, I'm already smart, quote unquote. So it's like, all right, well, cool. I'm already smart, so I should just get this. That's not how things work, right? So all in all, just please figure out what you want to do. Then once you do that, chase that dream, chase that goal relentlessly, right? The last fourth thing as a bonus, right? The thing that I wish that I did in my 20s, right, is don't let people talk to you any type of way. What do I mean? All right, story time number 2, right? So basically, I worked a job in a pharmaceutical plant. That's a hard word for me to say. But anyways, I worked a job in a pharmaceutical plant. And during this time, I worked with people that kind of talked to me like any old type of way. And because I was young, I kind of like let it just slide, like, okay, well, maybe they're having a bad day, or okay, well, right. But no, they weren't having a bad day. They just felt the need because they thought that since I was young, that I was just easy pickings. I was easy prey. When you're young, do not go for anything, right? Do not go for no type of disrespect. Do not go for no type of perverse talk. Don't go for nothing. Don't do it. Please, for the love of God, don't do it, right? Because I literally went for it. And to this day, that's one of my biggest regrets, is sitting there at that job, going through everything that I went through, and then remembering all this years later, and then remembering things that I could have done, things that I should have done, because I learned that I did not deserve that type of treatment. I learned that I should have respected myself enough more. Does that make sense? I should have respected myself more at that time, right? And I should have stood up for myself, because nobody was going to. And a part of me thought that somebody would kind of like sit there and like defend me, but nobody really did. And really, it resulted in me kind of like blowing up on a person at that job. And I had basically asked to like be moved, not to like a different part of the department that I was like, working in, because I couldn't really handle it. And that job mentally like effed me, bro. It mentally effed me. But now that I'm remembering, and now that I'm thinking about it, and now that I'm 27, a part of it was my fault, because I could have just spoke up. Never never be afraid to stand up for yourself. Never, ever, ever be afraid to stand up for yourself and say like, hey, this isn't right. It doesn't matter who tries to like, chastise you, whether it be like your manager or your supervisor. That doesn't really matter. What matters is if you stood up for yourself in a respectful way, and whoever objects to that, so be it, right? And that's the thing. The last thing, that I ever want you guys to feel is to feel like you're hopeless in the face of disrespect. Never, ever, ever feel like you cannot handle disrespect, because you can, in a clean way. And the clean way is just to outright state it, in the outright state that you don't mess with the disrespect, and you won't tolerate that. So that's that. But yeah, that's my 4 points that I had today. So if you got any value out of this video, please give me a like, comment, and subscribe, the Holy Trinity. And I will see you guys on the next video. Peace.